Joining us right now is Phil Klein. He's a reporter for the Washington Examiner. And, well, you had to have a late byline last night, Mr. Klein, because of this breaking news about the administration's decision with regard to Obamacare. For those just sort of getting up to speed, can you give us a brief synopsis on what the administration announced yesterday?
Basically, they announced a one-year delay in the employer mandate. Now, the employer mandate, as separate from the individual mandate, says that employers must provide everyone coverage that meets the standards of the federal government, and if not, they have to have pay a fine of $2,000 to $3,000, depending on the situation, and it affects employers with more than 50 workers. And so one of the issues that was arising was that a lot of businesses were contemplating shedding their workforces or reducing people's hours to try to get around this requirement. And so the Obama administration decided to delay it for a year, which has a ton of implications.
Such as?
Well, for one, the whole purpose of the employer mandate was to try to prevent employers from simply using the health care law as an opportunity to dump their workers on the new government subsidized exchanges and to sort of have taxpayers deal with it because it's an administrative hassle and it's costly and so forth.
And the employer mandate, with the mandate, if they dropped their employer provided health care for their employees, they'd be dinged by either $2,000 or $3,000, depending on the size of their company. Now they're not going to have that penalty, so there's really nothing stopping employers from just dumping insurance that they're currently providing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, there are other implications. One is it's not clear at all that Obama has the authority to do this.
Really?
Because the law says that this mandate is supposed to go into effect on January 1st, 2014. So there's really no reason why he should be unilaterally able to ignore the law for a year. Now, in practice, no one's really it's hard to see who would sort of challenge this in court. Certainly conservatives don't want to sue to have the employer mandate go into effect a year earlier.
Right.
Certainly businesses aren't going to sue. Certainly Democrats aren't going to sue. But I think that even given that, I think that the reason why that's still an important thing to note is that Obama and his defenders have been going around assailing Republicans and conservatives, saying that they continue to resist Obamacare and it's the law and they have to get with the program and they can't undermine implementation. Yet here's Obama simply ignoring, ordering the IRS to simply ignore a provision that's become inconvenient for him.
Yeah, a political inconvenience. Interesting. You didn't mention it, or maybe you did. I didn't catch it. I thought you didn't mention the fact that this pushes it beyond the midterm elections, which is very politically convenient.
Yeah, I did mention that as a factor, which is that a lot of businesses, like I said, we're talking about laying off workers or cutting hours, and those are certainly headlines that you don't want during an election.
Yeah, right. Clearly, one could see that if these very unpopular provisions of Obamacare, at least unpopular among the business world, had been implemented, that there would have been a tremendous backlash, and that the people would have perhaps turned on Democrats who were running for re-election because they were the ones who supported Obamacare.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the other issue the other issue is that you have the individual mandate laying out there. And now the Obama administration has to explain why they were able to simply delay the mandate for businesses when, business lobbied them. And yet individuals who don't have a lobby are going to get slapped with this mandate. So that means that if somebody works for a business that now drops coverage, they still are facing their own individual mandate. to purchase insurance.
Right. It's a complete double standard. The companies are left off the hook, but we, the people, we're still stuck.
Yeah, and keep in mind that it's the insurance companies that are lobbying for the individual mandate. So in both cases, it's sort of the lobbyists are winning over individuals.
So what you're saying is President Obama, with regard to Obamacare at least, President Obama is the president of the 1%.
Yes. And also another issue to keep in mind is that in the Treasury Department's press or blog post sort of announcing and explaining this move, they note all the sort of administrative difficulties in trying to get this rule implemented. However, this rule, the employer mandate, is one of the simplest things that Obama has to do to implement Obamacare. And if they can't get that done, then how are they going to get the much more complex new insurance exchanges up and running by October 1st in all 50 states plus the District of Columbia?
Well, but one has to wonder, they had 3 years and 9 months to get this right, and they couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, no, they couldn't. And what makes you think another year is going to do it? All right, Philip Klein, thank you so much for all that detail and all that information. We'll continue to watch this as it develops. Philip Klein of the Washington